to Dynamo, huh? Wow. You learned so much from me, I didn't get anything out of it. What did I do? I sold a book. What a great job, and thank you, Papa, very much. And Nicole and Julie, thank you very much. What a job, right? This is probably a record. This is an old, beautiful, well-established piece of land. This piece of land never had this many people. Is the water over there? You better hope that sucker stays up, my friend. And I hear there are thousands of boats out there. You know, we have that all over the country. So there is something going on. I don't know what it is. I don't want to talk too much. Do we have any fake news media here? But that's when you get yourself in trouble. When you think they're not here, then you start winging it. Just ask Mitt Romney about that. Do you remember? 47%. That was the end of that campaign. I think it was a waiter, right? The waiter was holding up the we always, Palmer, I'll tell you the other thing. You know, you read off a whole list of things. Always assume the media's listening. Right? Always. So we came over, and I was very happy to see they kept the name John Wayne on your airport. Somebody thinks they had a conversation with him 75 years ago. They're not sure. But there's a rumor. Let's remove his name, guys. Cancel culture. Well, we have it even worse in Washington. They set up our great mayor of Washington, D.C. Real winner. She set up a commission to talk about statues, and their recommendation came in a month ago. You know what I did with it? Take down the Washington Monument. See, we knew this was going to happen. 4 years ago, they started talking about take down statues, people we never heard. I said, you know what, soon? I actually said it'll be George Washington, but I was sort of kidding. But I was right. And I actually said, take down the Jefferson Memorial and change the name and put somebody else in, maybe the Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Al. Into the Lincoln Memorial, right? And you know, though they want Lincoln Memorial gone, Jefferson Memorial gone, and of course you have to take down the Washington Monument. Now you have a problem in San Francisco. They're renaming every single school, and they even want Dianne Feinstein's name off. And that one just went on because she happened to hug a man named Lindsey Graham, Senator. Now, so we're dealing with some serious sickness here, Palmer, I hate to tell you. Stay in the internet or whatever the hell you do, because you know what? It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. But no, I'll tell you something that was amazing, because you know it's California, you hear all this stuff, and it's crazy. They want to ration your water now.
Yeah.
So I read where they want to bring it down to 42 gallons a person. That sounds like a lot of water. But if an expert, if
Could
you
I
hire
just sit on the
somebody,
corner
which all
here?
of you
My knee
will
is
do in your
killing me.
mansions, wherever the hell you live, mansions or you think of it as sort of Republican, right? But you had to see, it's not even describable. Now, I've seen the biggest. You could not even get the motorcade through the tunnel. It's true. There must have been, in this, you know, small area, beautiful, there had to be 40, 50,000 people. It was amazing.
4 more years! 4 more years! 4 more years! 4 more years!
No, it was amazing. And literally, and I tell you, sometimes
The
there'll be
California
like little pockets.
Revolution!
You can tell the opposition. There's never an American flag. Here you have American flag, you have Trump flags all over the place, everything. You have more Trump. Thank you very much.
New York.
But you know what? You have Trump. But in the other groups, when there's a pocket, there was no pocket here, nothing. But when there's a pocket, I say, oh, don't bother with that group. You know what? There's never an American flag. I've never once seen in the opposition. You don't see American. Ours have Trump flags, but they have everything. But you can tell immediately. But I was amazed to see the enthusiasm and the numbers of people, and I swear, with water rationing, with forest burning all the time. I tell, and I actually like him. He's actually sort of a nice guy, but look, I like you, Governor. But I mentioned the word. he said climate change is burning down the forest. I said,
No, I don't think so.
no. But what you do have is you have floor coverings that are, 4 feet with leaves that are 20 years old, and then you touch them, you throw a cigarette in, then you lose 100,000 acres. And when those trees fall, because I went to 2 or 3 of your forest fires afterwards, and you see it tremendous. One was somebody like a blowtorch, and yet many of the trees are standing because they're soaking wet, taking up the water. But when they fall, you have 18 months to get rid of them. After that, they're like a matchstick. And they don't want to do it for environmental reasons. Now I think that's okay. But they got to do it. And if they raped their forests, I meet with the Prime Minister of Austria, and I meet with the people from Helsinki and all these different, and they'll come up to me and they'll say, we are a forest nation. We live in a forest. It's a beautiful thing, right? Austria. I says, sir, we are a forest nation. We have trees that are far more explosive. He used the word explosive. I've never forgotten. Explosive meaning fire. We have trees that are far more explosive than what they have in California. We don't have forest fires because they manage their forests. And yes, they'll have to do some cuts, and they can make them look beautiful, so the forest doesn't spread. We don't do them. And when I see the kind, this is the worst year you've ever had. When I see the kind of money, and we don't have to pay. I have been paying, but I've given them notice. I said, at some point, the federal government can't keep doing this, and you have to get out and you have to manage your forest. And think of it, Austria, all these places, and we have too. We have states that have forests that are, really massive forests. They live in forests. We don't have. It's always California. So now in this case, that Oregon, that Washington a little bit, but we have to do something. It's called management. Now water. Tell me about water. So Kevin McCarthy, do you know Kevin? So Kevin is a great guy. He is a worker, and I really believe he's going to be the speaker. I really do. People don't know we won 4 special elections. We won California. How about California? We won in California. That's the first time in 22 years that the Republicans took a seat away. And by 18,000 votes, that's not so bad. And it was a very interesting thing because it was one of these ballot deals and we started winning. They actually went and started opening polling booths during the election. We decided to open up. In other words, they were desperate. They couldn't believe it. But we won. I helped a lot. We won. We won in Wisconsin. Okay? He waited too long. Thank you, Harry Reid. Thank you very much, Harry. Harry Reid. Harry Reid. We should put the name of Harry Reid in everybody's desk. But no, he left us 140 years. You don't get left because those are nuggets of gold. Those are so powerful, so important. A federal judge and a Court of Appeals judge right below the Supreme Court. I think we had 58 of them. So we had 300 federal judges and 3 United States Supreme Court justices. But on the justices, you only have 9. Oh, he wants to pack your courts and everything else. Forget it. You can't let that happen. That is such a big point, even with the voters. But you have to explain it, I guess. But even with the voters. But most, think of this, most presidents have none. Because they're there for 40 years, We have a young man in Texas, I don't know if he's going to be Texas, he's just got 37 years old. He was number 1 at Harvard, number 1 at Oxford. He's on the appellate division, he's on the Court of Appeals. He's 38 years old. If you made him a Supreme Court, he should be there for 50 years. Do you understand? So this friend of mine said, I'd love to be a judge. He said, my guy said, sir, how old is he? I said, I don't know, 69 or 70. This is my first day in office. You need and I immediately do. I said, what do you tell me? He said, sir, when we put on a federal judge, if we can get him in the 30s, it's a lifetime appointment. It's the greatest job because you can be 95. We have judges 97 years old. And you just hope you get one of them, okay? They fall asleep. But you know what? It's unlimited. You get up whenever. So it's like, it's a lifetime appointment, no stops, nothing. And you know what? It's fine. But think of it. You put somebody on as I said to my friend, how long, Irving, real estate lawyer, you don't know about that. With your name. Irving, how long do you want to be on? A few years. I'd like to really do a big job. I said, Irving, I'm sorry. But my guys say, sir, so he'll be on for 1 or 2 years. We've been there before. You know, they do this stuff. After a couple of years, he's got the judge. Now he walks around the room, the judge. He wants to retire, wants to take it easy. So I told the guy, I said, sorry, but you put these people on at 40, 45, you know, when you get, and they're there for 30, 40, if you're smart. I mean, some people put them on it later. There are many that get in their 60s, but I personally don't think that's a very smart idea. So what we've done is unprecedented. I have 3, it's a record, in a term. 3. Add that to all of the other shit, and their heads are exploding, the other side. No, their heads are exploding. So it's been amazing. Then we've rebuilt the military. We've given you the greatest tax cut in the history of our country. We've given you the greatest regulation cut in the history of our country. Which to the businessmen out there, you would say that's more important. You know, I have a lot of very big businessmen, small businessmen, people that did well, people that don't do well at all. You know, it doesn't matter. Who cares? I like the ones that don't do well because it gives you like you feel totally superior. Always go to dinner with people that are unsuccessful. You do all the talking, they just listen, and then they go. No, seriously. No, it makes you feel good. Being with unsuccessful people is a good thing. I was with successful people about just before. Now, you know what I did? Okay. Somebody else said this. I build a building, I do great. Another guy builds 2 buildings. I say he's bigger than I am. So I built 2 buildings, he built 3 buildings. This has gone on for 25, 30, 40 years. And I said, I'm the biggest. Then they do a thing. No, Trump is number 4. I say, oh shit. No, I was explaining this story because the people that bought Tiffany, I don't know if they're going to buy it now. I don't know. Who knows, right? You know who I'm talking about? He's the wealthiest man in Europe. He's there. He's worth $100 billion. So I'm sitting there with him, and I'm sitting there, the head of Siemens. You know, they make everything. And I'm sitting with the biggest people in the world from Europe and all over the world. And I said, I'll tell you guys a little secret. I was very successful. But no matter what I did, I could never catch, like, there'd always be somebody, right? And it drove me crazy. I'd do this and they'd do that. And I'd do this and they'd do double that. And finally I said, screw it, I'm going to run for president. Davos, right? The most beautiful, you know, Davos, everything beautiful. You had the biggest business people from all over the world, and they were kissing my ass. You wouldn't believe it. I was Donald Trump, the developer. I doubt I would have gotten into that particular room. I would have been in another room, perhaps. But they were all, and the gentleman from that we were just talking about said, sir, is the single greatest honor of my life, sitting on your right. And I said, do you believe it? Isn't it nice? So I said, she's going, oh, isn't that nice? That's not meant to be a nice story. That's meant to be like, that's the way it is. It's sort of like, I'm going to punt and I'm going to try something else for a living. And then they said, he'll never be able to do it. He's inexperienced. But talent is much more important than experience. You have to have a certain talent. But we've done a great job. We've done a great job for you. We've done a great job for the country. Look, we have the most important election coming up in the history of our country. And you know what? 6 months ago, saying, oh, well, you know, look, I happen to think the last one was very important. This is more important. Because these people are deranged. They want to take us socialist. They want to get rid of your energy. They want to get rid of everything that we stand for. And you'll never be able to put it back together. Humpty Dumpty. You're never going to be able to put it back together. And this is the single most important election we've ever had. So get out. You got to vote. Whatever you can do in terms of contributions would be wonderful. Whatever you can do, I appreciate you doing it. I forget. But whatever you can do in terms of contributions is good. But you got to get everybody, and you got to get out and vote. And in California, I just don't know why. They tell me you can't win California in terms of... No. Revolution! So we had no, that's what they say. I'm talking about at the presidential level. But I will tell you something, I disagree with it. So they found 1.5 million crooked votes, and that was called Judicial Watch. They're great. Right? Tom Fitton. And they settled at that. He said the only reason we settled because if we found two, it's like, what are you going to do? They found people 125 years old that were voting. There were numerous people that were well into their hundreds that were voting, and they voted very consistently. They voted on every election. It was tremendous. They found that 1.5 million votes were crooked.
Yeah.
And these ballots, it's a crooked deal.
Hell yeah.
They send out tens of millions of ballots in California, and I call them unsolicited. That's a better word than universal. Nobody knows what universal is about. They're called unsolicited ballots. You get them even if you don't want them.
Junk
And
mail.
you say, who's getting them? Who's sending them back? Who's signing them? The whole thing is a rigged deal.
Yeah.
So watch it, but it's one of those things. I'll tell you what we can do. I believe you could win. I really do. I believe presidentially with what's going on. Normally, maybe not. But with the taxes going through, with everybody moving to Texas and to Florida, with all of the things, with your taxes are crazy. I know people that love California that are leaving. I know a couple of athletes that I would have said they would have never left. They're moving to Florida, where you have no income tax to pay. You have no nothing. You really, the estate tax situation is crazy. So look, I really believe you can win at the higher level, especially when I see Judicial Watch, where they agreed to 1 million. They agreed with the state to 1.5 million crooked votes.
Yeah.
Think of it. If it were honest, I think you could win easily. But it's a rigged system. But I'll tell you what you can win. You can win 4 or 5 of those House seats back in one state. We only need 17. Think of it. And having the House is, I can't tell you how important.
Yeah.
But we get rid of this crazy Nancy Pelosi. But we can win because you know what happened? They had, you know this, right? We had 17 seats. And we had here, I think 5 or 6. And they were all tied. Right? You went to the evening, it was all tied. You wake up the next morning, we lost all 7.
I know.
And they had all of the harvesting crowd. So get out and vote. We love you. Get back those seats. You get 7. I think you get 6 or 7. But you'll get 5. And Palmer, I'm counting on you. And if you don't pull it off, I'll never speak to you again. Thank you. Great job.